So guys, it's David here, and today I got the time around to do the self-reflection worksheet that I was supposed to do yesterday, but I procrastinated. And I procrastinated the fact because first of all, the worksheet was not available, but second of all, I said to myself, David, you have done so many of these worksheets, and all of them proved to no avail. And therefore, what would this one matter? But something really clicked when I did this worksheet. And I think the reason why I had this massive revelation to my own current situation and why I am as I am now is because I choose the care and time to do it carefully. And I have to admit, guys, halfway through the worksheet, my focus and my patience started to weigh out. And therefore, the results I got, the feedback I got from the self-reflection was, as you guessed, subpar at best. So I think this is one crucial thing we have to keep in mind, that whenever we are doing the internal work, whether that's meditating, whether that's doing these self-reflection, whether that's just giving yourself daily feedback, you cannot rush the process. If you rush the process, you're not going to figure out exactly what you are looking for. You're not going to search or find your answer. So that means if somebody gives you a personality worksheet, don't just copy 5 of the most common trait that they give you through the option box, right? Don't just go online and search up what are the personality weaknesses and strength and just copy like a list of them that you think you are because you label yourself as lazy, introvertism, procrastinator, or indecisive. Just because you label yourself as that, but you fail to give yourself an explanation or link those to an experience in your life, that won't mean anything to you. And certainly it did not mean anything for me. But when I did the self-reflection carefully with time taken into account, I discovered something revelational. And one of them is actually very funny, right? I have always been a person to avoid conflict. And on a surface level, I would say that, maybe I'm just an introvert, going back to doing poor self-reflection and going back to how people like to label themselves with words these days. You go like, I'm just an introvert. I'm just shy. I'm just this and that. But I had this very vivid memory during my childhood. And I had this memory because it was a nightmare I had, right? Since perhaps 3 years old or 2 years old, when I was still living with my auntie, all the way up to 10 or 8, I had these nightmares, right? Maybe consecutive nights, but maybe it would just come back and haunt me. But whenever it came back, it would put me and shatter myself in tears. Even when I was 10, right? Even when I was 11 or 12, whenever, like even maybe up to 11 or 13, it would always put myself in tears. And what this dream is that it would always start out nice, it would always start out very picture square, maybe me and my family on a road trip or whatever. I can't really remember the image vividly, but I would tell you guys how it felt. Like it was like we're having a calm conversation, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the image will get distorted, right? Things will turn blurry, right? It was like as if things that turned from a peaceful, playful setting into a chaotic nightmare, right? Like the faces on my family and my mother or dad will become distorted. The music will turn chaotic. Dark lines will start to appear, and everything would just turn on me, right? Everything would just all of a sudden target me. And there'll be some times where there'll be no image whatsoever. It would just be in this empty void. And there will be like this light just beeping like a heart pulse in the middle of my eyes of the picture. And it will slowly be faster, or sometimes these crazy black lines or these geometrical lines will start to appear out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, it was like a peace, right? Just peaceful thing, like a peaceful image or like a peaceful void, like a light just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. And then all of a sudden, chaos will start to form. right? Chaos will start to chase me. Voice will get distorted. Shouting and anger will all start to come towards me. And whatever this is, I am not sure. The scenes will be different. Pictures will be different. And I guess perhaps looking at it now, I could relate this to the fact that I choose not to speak up and avoid conflict because of that nightmare I had recurring every single night, or perhaps a few nights a week, whatever. Right? That instant moment where you're not sure what you exactly did that triggered the chaotic moment. And that stuck with me. And perhaps unconsciously, that was the exact same thing I was avoiding to alliterate in the present moment. Therefore, I choose to stay timid. Therefore, I choose to stay quiet because I was always on the edge and perhaps even afraid of that thing from happening. And I say this is a funny story because really, the time when I started to have these nightmares is when I was out with my auntie, very young again, maybe 2 or 3, and we were at a friend's house watching a horror movie. And ever since the horror movie, I started to have those dreams. That all these dreams was only a memory of that horror film. And all this distorted images and these unclear chaos and shouting was only just scenes I saw with my eyes half open when I was a kid watching this scary movie. And I contributed this scary movie into my reality, and it totally changed the way I present myself. It totally changed the way I acted. And perhaps for the longest time, I have labeled myself as timid, insecure, or introverted because I was afraid, or even just to be bold because I was afraid that this scary movie will happen in real life. But not understanding what caused it, you tend to, label your life and label your flaws or weaknesses as these traits or these personality traits, when in reality, it is all just a stupid memory. A stupid memory, otherwise you would not have known, or perhaps never have knew if you never done your self-reflection properly. And honestly, guys, there are so many other things that I had just came into my mind and really made me rethink all my life. And it made me realize, am I even really introverted? Am I even really shy? Or had these memories I stored away from my childhood, they were actually the reason for the person I choose to become today, or the person I am now. And the word introvert and the word shyness and timid is what I am using to reframe myself, but really they are only a smokescreen, or they are only a mask I choose to wear to hide myself from the truth. And the truth, guys, was actually never really that bad after all. Because when you start to realize that the reason why you are avoiding conflict is because you're afraid of this horror film that you watched as a kid. I mean, when you realize that, it is much easier to not be afraid anymore. To realize that was only a movie and that this is real life. And things could finally change from this point onwards. But with that being said, guys, I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and I do hope you guys had learned something from this. But if not, like always, I'll be here for you guys tomorrow. But until then, good night.